She walked into the dealership wearing jeans, sneakers, and a quiet smile. Nothing flashy. No designer handbag. No entourage. Just confidence. But that wasn't enough. The salesman looked her up and down, and smirked. "Sorry ma'am," he said, casually stepping between her and the car she pointed to. "Those cars are for serious buyers only. You understand, right?" She paused, tilted her head, and simply asked, "You don't think I'm a serious buyer?" He laughed. Everyone laughed. What they didn't know? In less than 24 hours, she wouldn't just buy the car. She'd own the entire dealership. And that same man, he'd be standing in front of her office door, waiting for a meeting she'd never schedule. If you believe in justice, hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss a story that matters. Her name was Naomi Carter. Born and raised in a working-class neighborhood in Atlanta, Naomi had learned early on that life wasn't fair, especially if you were a black woman with ambition. Her mother worked 2 jobs. Her father, a mechanic, taught her more about engines than most boys her age ever knew. And Naomi? She listened, learned, and she dreamed. While other girls played house, she sketched blueprints of sports cars. While others posted selfies, she watched engine builds and read investment blogs. She wasn't just obsessed with cars, she was obsessed with building empires. By 19, she had 3 side hustles. By 23, she'd started her own auto repair business. By 28, she owned 5 garages across the state. But Naomi wasn't the type to brag. No flashy jewelry. No loud designer logos. No viral videos. Just results. So when she walked into that luxury dealership one rainy Friday morning, she didn't expect applause. But she didn't expect disrespect either. She'd saved for months to reward herself with the car she'd dreamed about since she was 13, a limited edition midnight blue Vortex R8. This wasn't a flex. This was her moment. But apparently, to them, she looked like a joke. Naomi walked toward the sleek Vortex R8, her eyes lit up. The car shimmered under the dealership lights, just like in her dreams. But before she could even reach for the door handle, a salesman in a tight gray suit stepped in front of her. He didn't ask if she needed help. He didn't say hello. He just said, "We don't let people sit in the vehicles unless they've been pre-approved." Naomi blinked. "I'm here to test drive. I already spoke with someone on the phone." He gave a half smile, the kind that dripped with doubt. "And do you have a manager with you?" She tilted her head. "No. I'm the buyer." He chuckled. "Right." Then he turned to another salesman across the room and said, loud enough for her to hear, "Another looky-loo. You know how it is." Naomi's fists clenched. She'd dealt with disrespect before, but this was different. It wasn't just about race. It wasn't just about gender. It was about power, and who they thought had it. Another customer, a white man in cargo shorts and a baseball cap, walked in. Within seconds, 3 salesmen swarmed him. "Would you like to test the R8, sir? We've got coffee and brochures." Naomi stood there, invisible. No one offered her coffee. No one asked her name. Just one glance, and they'd already decided who she was. She could have walked out. She could have snapped back. But instead, Naomi smiled. A slow, calm, knowing smile. And she said one sentence that made the salesman pause mid-laugh. "Is your general manager in today?" The smug salesman raised an eyebrow. "The GM? Why?" Naomi just smiled. "I'd like to speak with him. Now, please." Reluctantly, he walked off, muttering under his breath. A few minutes later, a man in his late 50s came out. Polished suit. Serious face. "Can I help you, ma'am?" Naomi extended her hand. "Naomi Carter. I represent a private investment group interested in acquiring luxury automotive franchises across Georgia. The manager blinked. I'm sorry. We emailed last week. I scheduled a surprise visit to evaluate operations, customer service, culture, and treatment protocols. She pulled out her tablet and opened the portfolio, financial documents, dealership valuations, signed NDAs. His eyes widened. Wait, you're the buyer. Naomi nodded. And I've seen enough. She glanced over at the salesman who'd refused her the test drive, now frozen in place, pale, sweating. The GM stammered, I had no idea they treated you like that. Please, we can talk in my office. Naomi raised her hand calmly. No need. My legal team will be in touch by Monday. She turned to the stunned salesman and said, Enjoy your last weekend here. Then she walked out. Past the stunned staff. Past the luxury cars. Past the assumptions they made the moment she walked through the door. That night, her offer to buy the dealership, in full, was accepted. And by Tuesday morning, the keys to the entire operation were in her hand. On Tuesday morning, the glass doors of the dealership slid open. And Naomi Carter didn't walk in as a customer. She walked in as the owner. The staff stood silently. Some stared in shock. Others looked away. The salesman who once laughed at her. Gone. Fired not out of revenge, but for violating the most basic standard of professionalism and respect. In his place, Naomi hired a young Latina saleswoman who had been turned down for the job months earlier, because they claimed she wouldn't fit the luxury brand. Within 6 months, the dealership became the top-performing branch in the entire region. Not because Naomi cut prices, but because she changed the culture. No judgment. No assumptions. No treating people like numbers. She made sure every customer, no matter how they dressed, looked, or spoke, was treated like they belonged. Because she knew the truth most people forget. Respect isn't something you offer after checking someone's wallet. It's something you give first, because it's the right thing to do. Naomi's story isn't just about one dealership. It's about every place we walk into and get sized up before we even speak. It's about every person who's been laughed at, judged, dismissed. Simply for not looking like success. But here's the twist. Real power doesn't need to prove itself. It walks in quietly. Smiles patiently. And when the moment is right, it buys the whole building. If you've ever been judged before being heard, this story is for you. Drop a flex biceps medium skin tone or black heart in the comments if you know your worth, even when others don't. And remember, never underestimate the quiet ones. Clapperboard subscribe for more stories that challenge, inspire, and flip the script.